To have Republican Congressman from Florida, Greg Steube, a member of the House Ways and Means Committee and Select Subcommittee on Weaponization of the federal government. Congressman Steube, welcome to Newsline. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Since you're on the House Ways and Means Committee, you know, obviously the question about SALT and other questions are coming up, and, you know, the big tax bill, and that's something that Donald Trump needs to tackle. Slim majority in the House. Give us your insight on some of the conversations that are happening. I know Mike Lawler from New York will be meeting with Donald Trump any moment now.
Yeah, the challenges are going to be what he wants to talk to the president about, assault and the pay for. The challenge through the process is you have to pass a budget resolution, a budget reconciliation resolution first. That resolution will detail what things we can go into in the tax package. That has to pass the House, go to the Senate, pass the Senate, and then with those instructions in the reconciliation package and the budget resolution, we will then start to craft a tax package. So we can't, in the Ways and Means Committee, start doing our earnest work on the tax package until we get that budget resolution complete. I believe the Speaker was hoping to pass that in February with the hopes to pass the tax package in March, which is a very aggressive agenda, obviously, to get that through both chambers and then have consideration of the tax package. You're going to have a lot of big things that are in there. Obviously, I fully support TCJA being reauthorized for another 5 years at the minimum. I think we could go out 10 on some provisions like 199A, or even make those type of things permanent. 199A, making that permanent for our small businesses in this country would be a huge economic input to those small businesses, which are the heart of our economy.
They sure are. Reaction to the January 6th pardons, obviously from the left, it's all they're obsessed with, even at the news conference yesterday when we're talking about infrastructure and AI, which could really be instrumental with America taking the lead. All they wanted to do was talk about this. And I find it interesting, too, of course, the pardons of all the Biden family members. They have no interest in that. Clearly, we know a lot of these people did nothing violent. The Supreme Court even said some of them were overcharged. They were denied due process. This is really going to change so many people's lives who have lost a lot just for showing up there that day.
Yeah, he did. The mainstream media doesn't want to talk about the pardons for Biden's family and the pardons to death row people, but they definitely want to talk about J6. I've seen video. I was here that day, and I have seen video and witnessed for myself individuals just walking into the Capitol, and those individuals were overly charged for simply walking into the Capitol. And the president was very clear and had been very clear on the campaign trail that he intended on pardoning those individuals if he was to be elected president, and he was. And he's fulfilling that campaign promise, just like he's fulfilling the promise on the wall. He's fulfilling the promise on the border. He's fulfilling the promise on domestic production of energy and oil and gas. And so, hey, campaigns have consequences, and he's been very clear from the outset how he felt about that, and he has full authority as the President of the United States to do that.
He even had to sign an executive order, Congressman, to recognize just two biological sexes. That is the world we're living in post-Biden. And you just had a very important piece of legislation, a bill to protect girls in sports teams, banning trans athletes. And the House recently passed that. That's a welcome sign and a return to common sense, as we heard Donald Trump say in the rotunda the other day.
Yeah, what was interesting, I was there in the rotunda and had the honor to listen to President Trump's inaugural speech. And what was interesting is when he said we are only going to recognize the two genders, you know, that science supports and that humanity supports, the two genders, every single Republican stood up and applauded, and Democratic members of Congress that were there refused to stand up and applaud the fact that there's only two genders. So that shows you how far we have fallen as a country, that the president has to take that action. I was very happy to see that my bill that passed last Congress passed this Congress with bipartisan support. We had two Democratic members vote for that. We had one Democratic member vote present. So now moving into the Senate, that gives it a lot of momentum from a bipartisan standpoint, because the bill's got to get 60 votes over there. But a lot of this has been done as well by President Trump's executive orders on gender and DEI and all of these things, and not allowing transgenders in athletics. So I still think we need to pass this bill to make it law so a future administration can't change it. But it's now sitting in the Senate, and I'm happy that it got bipartisan support to do that.
We'll continue to track it. Obviously, it's an important measure. As a mom, I know that that's something that has been really welcome to see that protected for young girls. All right, 5 o'clock. The clock is ticking now. DEI Federal employees, there's a memo that's been issued saying you will be put on administrative leave. Can't happen soon enough, says a lot of people out there. This is really a shift change, a culture change, and I don't know. You're there in Washington. Is the establishment really ready for this?
Well, they should be, because Donald Trump was very clear about his positions on that. I've been advocating for years to do away with these entire agencies that simply are put in place for this purpose and the tax dollars that are spent on this. So I'm very happy to see that he is doing this executively. He can also not expend the money on these different programs because he has the authority to do that in the White House. But we in Congress need to do away with these programs altogether. You shouldn't be, just like the president said in his inaugural speech, we should be based off merit, not on the color of your skin. And that should be the way that America operates. And I'm very excited to see the changes that he's making on the executive branch. And those are the type of things that we should not be funding in Congress. And I hope that through this budget resolution process, through this tax package and budget process, that we look a lot at those programs that we can cut.
Yeah. Well, that will be exciting for people to see that. Final thoughts. So Lincoln Riley Act goes to the House for a vote today. Will it pass, Congressman? In our final moments, what is your thought?
Yeah, it'll definitely pass by overwhelming bipartisan support. I was surprised with how many Democrats in the Senate voted for it. I think it was 64 senators that voted for it. So this will be one of the very first bills that President Trump is going to be able to sign in the White House. And what better signal to send to the American people that we're not going to stand for illegal immigrants that come into our country and commit violent crimes.
A poignant moment indeed. Congressman Greg Steube of Florida, great to have you.